On our guest list, we have two colleagues who've also been on this journey for a very long period of time. I call them stories of resilience because some people would face a challenge once and let go of it. But they've been hanging on. They've still not succeeded and they aren't giving up either. These are some of the reasons why we decided to bring them on to today's session to share what their experiences have been like. So I would by this invite start off with Henry um to share with us what is it that has kept you going regardless of the setbacks. Are there any lessons that you've learned through this process, and are there any you will be applying moving forward? So over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Marita, for no. Most of the times, they always talk about success, success. I think it's very important that we start learning from the stories of failures.
Yeah.
So, uh, I want to say I'm celebrating 10 years of failure, failing to secure the Chevening scholarship. So I started right in 2015. My very first application, I was selected for interview, and I didn't make it. Don't say that, Minister. Right afterward, from 2015, I've been applying. From 2016, I started applying. No interview, no interview, no interview. I keep applying, no interview, no interview until 2022. So what? Again, I was invited for an interview. So what happened in 2022 is that one of my what somebody shared with me a manual that was developed that can guide you how you can do your application, and there was some. I mean, so I really took my time and followed that guide, and then I was selected for interview. Then the interview phase is another monster for me. Yes, I think the first struggle was getting in an application that can go into the pool of the competition and come out for interview. When I succeed to deal with that challenge, my next monster now is the interview. So I've gone for the interview 3 times, and I didn't make it. So I will keep applying. I keep applying. So this is 2025. I applied, and this is the 10th time. And I'm not giving up either until maybe age eligibility may eliminate me from the competition. Because the goal is that I want to become a Chevener. I want to study in world-class university like in the UK. And of course, I'm working on an idea that I see the University of Reading, especially University of Reading, that is working so much on that idea with so much expertise in that area. So I think studying in the University of Reading will really prepare me to be able to realize the breakthrough idea I'm working on, especially in the area of regenerative agriculture. So that has been my sole motivation. So despite the failures, I am not giving up until I really get there. So my next plan now is really to find a mentor. I think uh, one thing when I do an assessment of my failures, I think one challenge I face is that I've not had that mentor that would really go down to the root, to diagnose my problem and really provide a customized support. Most of the time, have mentors that just give general advice, but sometimes you need a customized mentorship to be able to overcome certain challenges. So I'm hoping that I will definitely get that kind of mentor that will really go deep into assessing me and seeing where my blind eyes are. Sometimes you might not see your blind spots, and you keep making these errors over and over and over. And no matter how many times you go there, if you don't figure out those blind spots, you might go there even 100 times and you don't make it. Because I realize that cheating, they don't give you cheating based on emotions. like the fellows just shared, they're looking at what can you bring to the table. You might have done a lot of things. When it comes to work and impact, I mean, I don't think I have a deficiency in that area. I have everything it takes, but how you communicate it, how
Yeah.
you package it and present it to the jury is what really makes the difference. But I think that maybe I'm failing in that area, and I will need a mentor that can really help me to be able to put my work together and present it properly to the jury. So that is it. That is it.
Thank you so much for sharing. If I pick, I mean, before I get into this, just to highlight that if Henry says he has what it takes, for real, he does, because I've worked with him in Boy as well. And to highlight that from his profile, you would have noticed that he's earned a couple of awards from the work that he does, especially at community level. And he's a Mandela Washington Fellow. So you know it's also not cheap to get Mandela Washington. So if he could go through that funnel, then next on his list should be Chevening. And like you said, I like the fact that you highlighted a few key things that I picked from there. The need for mentorship, because I think that if there is failure, then there is need for a very solid SWOT analysis to be conducted to know where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are. I like that you highlight you'll be going in for mentorship this time around, and also that you went as far as studying a manual that took you right up until the interview phase quite a couple of times. And it is my wish and greatest desire that this time around you will be making it with the help of a mentor that will help point to those areas that you clearly referred to as blind spots. So at this moment, I would flip it over to Mildred. Mildred, if you're on, can you please?
Uh, Thank you so much for this opportunity. I would like to share my experience. I'll start by saying I came across a Chevening scholarship in 2023, and that was when I was scrolling through my LinkedIn as usual, just scrolling to find and search for jobs and scholarships. So I came across Chevening in 2023. I looked at the criteria and eligibility. I saw that it matched my profile. So I went in for the scholarship. I started read went went to the website and read what it's all about. So I had to do the essays. So I did my essays, and unfortunately for me, I wasn't selected that 2023. I was frustrated, and the next coming year, that was in 2024, when they launched again the application, I was like, I'm not doing this thing. It has a lot of stress. And unfortunately, I did not apply that year. I did not apply that year. I was like, I don't need it. I don't need it because it takes a lot of time. What's the need? What's the need of applying? So I just like I brushed over it and then I left it. So coming 2025, I don't know. There is this thing uh, that told me that go in for this application, you'll be shortlisted. I was like, no, it takes a lot of time. So this evening I sat on my laptop, I went through my essays again. And then I looked at YouTube videos from Delphine. I followed Delphine a lot. I followed her a lot. She was really an inspiration to me. So she really inspired me to apply. So when I did, I learned about so many alumni, Felix, Carl, and Mary. I didn't relent. I looked for a way to like knock at their doors. I went to their DMs and wrote to them that I am aspiring to apply for the Chevening scholarship, and I'll be needing you to evaluate and review my essays. I think the last year nobody ever reviewed my essay. That's why I wasn't shortlisted. So this time around, I put more effort and wrote my essays. I gave them to review. They did the review, and then they got back to me, and I applied for the scholarship. Luckily for me, I was shortlisted, and um, invited for the interview, that was another phase for me. Panic came in. I was happy. I was like, wow, I didn't like expect this. I was so happy. So I went back to Felix again and told him that, Felix, I've been shortlisted for the interview. Please, I still need your help because I've been seeing you on LinkedIn everywhere. So he helped me. He sent me some guidelines for the interview, which I really I went through it, I read it, and then came in. I had one message from this Madam Mary, who also guided me with the interview process. So on the day of my interview, God, I went there very early until they were like, wow, you're really this. So the interviewers really appreciated me for me being there early and preparing and every other thing. So while sitting there, I was just going through their how can I call it, books, what when Chevening was created, all the stuff. So came my time, I always have this panic. I think what made me not to get the interview was I was really nervous and I felt I was shaking, and which made the interviewers to realize that maybe I had memorized my essay, whereas I didn't. It was just the panic thing that made me not to get it. So after my interview, I felt that myself. I did that, oh God, please, this is on you now. I don't know if these people really had to like get me panicking or not. So that is it. So on this day, the selection for the last process was in June. We had to have the emails coming in June. So that day I was working, I was on my desk. So I saw an email pop up because I have my Gmail on my desktop. I saw it pop up. So I was like, Jesus, God, God. I was panicking before. I just, okay, I gathered the courage. I opened my email. I saw that I wasn't shortlisted. Tears dropped down my eyes. And I just like closed for the day. I just told my supervisor that, sir, please, I'm not in the mood. I would love to go home. So he like, okay, he granted me the permission to go home. And when I got home, I lashed it out. I cried out my eyes. I was like, why didn't I get shortlisted? But at least I gave them the point. I showcased what leadership was. I showcased everything. Why didn't I get shortlisted? So at one point, something was telling me that go to the UK embassy, go there and ask them why you weren't shortlisted. But then I came out so many encouragement from those that coached me along the way. So this year for the cohort for the 2026 session, I still applied. I still knocked at the doors of those people that helped me, even if they were busy. Some were like, okay, at this time I cannot help you. Others I were like, okay, I have met another person who is not a Shivina, but also has gotten scholarship experiences in scholarships. So he helped me with my AC and I applied. So I'm just praying God for a success. So that's it.
Thank you so much, Mildred. There is a couple of things we pick from your experience, the need to seek help, the need to seek support, to get, I think, a strong base of persons who walk you through the entire application process up until the interview phase. And I think that a lesson we learned from your experience and Henry's is the fact that consistency is key, because we see how you both move from a step where you weren't shortlisted at all for at least at all up until when you both have gone through the levels of interviews. There are lessons you're learning in due course, and I like the fact that you take responsibility. You're able to highlight the area where you think you faltered at. Like, for example, you mentioned that I would say perhaps you had a panic and anxiety, you were anxious, and this is maybe perhaps the reason why you couldn't communicate your responses. You weren't maybe so articulate while communicating your experience, which I think is something which a lot of people experience as well. But I think that Patience is here, and she has sat on these panels quite a couple of times. And I think Dr. Monique might have also guided quite a number of people. Now, we might get from them again just right after this phase. But one thing I want to say, the reason why we brought in Henry um, and uh, and Mildred is because we want you to understand a lot of times on the internet, there is a lot of people out there sharing the stories as to how successful they've been. But a lot of people do not put it out there, how hard it's been for them, the failure stories. But failure is part of the journey. It's part of the walkthrough. And worse still, if you're a LinkedIn user, you discover that every other second there is somebody celebrating something on LinkedIn. And this alone can put you at a very tight angle. But we just want you to understand that sometimes before you see people say they are Chevening scholars, some people might have it at the goal, like the very first trial, but this might not always be the same. So we are trying to shift, we are trying to bring in that paradigm shift. Failure, there is a lot of people who get to fail, but they just don't put it out there. But what you need to learn for the most part is that even when you fail, you don't need to give up on yourself. You need to keep, like our both colleagues have been open. You heard them say, take responsibility for areas where they think they need to work on. And I think this should be the mindset. This should be the orientation a lot of us should have. This should be the attitude we have when faced with opportunities like this that allows you to go through tough competitions. So I think this was, again, before maybe we get into the question and answer session, I would like to bring in Patience, if you have maybe any final words regarding this interventions from Mildred and Henry, maybe Patience and Monique, then we get into the question and answer sessions.
Okay. I want to say, first of all, Marisa, you made a very good point, and that's really, really something that's pertinent that I have always been campaigning for. I think I shared recently, not so long ago, a post about a Chevening fellow, I think from Botswana, Zambia, I don't know which country, and he's gotten it on his 11th try. And that means it's the 11th time. It was one more year after Henry. We're not hoping that you have one more year, but just say that there's somebody that did it 11 times
Yeah.
and got it
Wow,
on the
that's
11th try.
nice.
Yeah, so I shared his post recently and he was sharing his testimony about that. And I really wish more people would share the failures because it seems like it's a perfect trajectory. It doesn't go like this. No, it doesn't. And if I have in any way suggested that it was smooth after I got Chevening, let me not lie. It was not. I returned to Cameroon without a job. I quit my job as an administrative assistant at the University of Boya because I had worked for only 9 months. I had gotten that job only in January 2013, in January 2014. And I got Chevening by September 2014. I was leaving for Chevening. So I had to quit my job to take up Chevening. And when I returned back, I was unemployed. And I had just my organization and my big dreams. So although I looked like a great candidate at the time of Chevening because I was employed at the University of Boya, I did not look like a great candidate when I was coming back. And when I was I returned in 2015. My graduation was scheduled for June 2016. I applied for a visa. Mind you, I returned before my visa expired, before my Chevening visa expired. But I applied for a visa to go for my graduation and I was rejected. I was rejected on grounds that I was not viable. I was an economic risk because my job at the time was part-time. I was a part-time instructor. I was not a full-time administrative assistant as before Chevening. So it's not smooth. There is no guarantee on this thing. But what is there is, again, they're betting on somebody that shows leadership potential. And part of that is endurance. Part of that is perseverance. Part of that is resilience.
Right.
I spoke of the Miley Fellowship that I went for during my Chevening year. I applied for my lead 4 times before getting it. I got it on the 4th try. There's somebody I know, a very good friend of mine, Azinwi applied for Chevening 4 times before getting it. So it's the problem is, what are you doing while you're waiting? If you notice, there was something that Henry said. He applied and he didn't even get shortlisted. And then 2022 he gets shortlisted. So obviously, in the meantime, between 2015 and 2022, he kept doing the work. He kept building a profile. So every year he's not submitting the same thing. He's submitting something better. He's submitting a new success story, a new example of leadership, a new example of networking. But if you're just going to continue putting the same thing every year and you're not real, you keep getting the same result. And so I really think it's important that we get it out of our heads that this thing defines us, because it's not defining us. And that's why I was trying to stress the only thing you really need to know about the background is that these people are trying to bet on somebody that already has potential. And that this again speaks to Mildred. When people go into that board, it's intimidating. All interviews are intimidating, but honestly. But the first thing you need to, I think what would actually help you, and I have to say I had a briefing before getting there. Lily was my mentor. I had a session with Emmanuel Sani, who was the former president, but it was really Lily that guided me through. And the importance of those mentors is to validate you, because you would not be validated by that board. They're there to interrogate you. So you only get your validation before you come in. You get your validation from your people that see you that are former Chevening fellows and have looked at your documents and said, you deserve this. If you don't get it, does not mean that you don't deserve it. It just means that there are many people.
Yeah.
But you deserve this. So get your validation from outside. What you want to go in there and present is the fact that I am somebody already doing things. I am somebody that has already achieved a lot. I am already worthy as I am. Now, Chevening has an opportunity to add to my story. Chevening has an opportunity to bet on me and get returns, but not like you're coming to save me. And that's a big issue that I see with a lot of the personal statements that are like poverty porn. Like somebody's coming to come and save you out of your wahala. You already have potential.
Okay.
So what they want is somebody that they are betting on. You already, and if you notice, and I really want somebody to do a study on this, as a researcher, I really feel like the data would be there. If you notice, the majority of people getting the Chevening scholarship are those that are already employed, gainfully employed, those that already show a certain amount of skill. The more they're not giving to somebody that they feel is coming to come and be an economic burden on their country. That's why you will see a lot of people that are already working in the government, because they know that you will not leave a government magical and comfortable government job and come and stay here. You will see a lot of people that are already medical doctors until they actually stopped taking medical doctors, because so many of them actually went and stayed. So it kind of became counterintuitive, because they went and wrote the medical entrance exam in the UK. So it really is a matter of, can I show you that I am worth the bet? You want to be part of my story, because when I make it, you want to say that Chevening gave me something, because I am going to make it eventually, whether you help me or not. But you want to be part of my story. It's a matter of you selling that confidence in yourself to the board, but don't expect them to validate you.
Mm-hmm. Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Monique. And there is something that I picked from Dr. Monique's and I think that's very key. Work experience. I have reviewed quite a lot of CVs, like a handful of CVs. And a lot of times there is lack of experience in those CVs. So I think if you're if you tune in, or if you're listening to us and you are considering the Mandela, the Chevening scholarship, I meant to say, please try to see how you can improve as well in that angle. There are a couple of voluntary opportunities. Like you heard Dr. Monique say, even when she said she was a part-time staff at UB, she still had her organization though. vertebrate, you know? But again, these are the obstacles you meet along the way. So I think prioritize voluntary service, prioritize professional internship. It doesn't mean that you need to start up something all afresh, but or you need to get a full-time job at all costs. But as Cameroonians, we need to build that sense of volunteering. On this call, we have also colleagues joining from Zambia, Zimbabwe, Morocco as well, and I guess the US. So we would say a lot of times US, Cameroon, but this is because a bulk of our participants on this webinars come from Cameroon. But you could apply the same. It cuts across. Like Dr. Monique said from the onset, it's a Commonwealth thing. So try and see if your country fits within that as well. So I'll flip it over to Patience. Would you have something to say regarding reactions from Henry and Mildred?
Yeah. Thank you, Mildred and Henry, for sharing your experience. I will speak to a few things. Let me pick first from where Dr. Monique ended. Generally, when it comes to scholarships or when it comes to fellowship, I often call it a reward. So like she said, I call it a reward for hard work. So often what I tell people is that you are being rewarded for the work you are doing, and you're given an opportunity to go on retreat and come back to your work. Yes. Yeah. So I noticed my video was disabled. That's why I can't come back video by myself. Okay. So I call it reward. So if you know you have worked, yes, there are many people. So the scholarship is identifying persons who are leaders to reward them somehow. Okay. Okay. Anyway, it wouldn't be for long though. Yes. So Mildred talked of nervousness. So I want to say it's okay to be nervous. I want to say being nervous is okay. It doesn't necessarily affect your interview because everyone understands. And it's true that it might affect your performance because you might say some things which you didn't intend to say. But in most cases, I think the interviewers try to get along, try to bring you back to say, I'll leave it there because it's not necessarily a problem. It's normal and it's natural. So when you feel nervous, just carry on. It's always just say, I feel nervous. You see that they will pause and discuss with you and try to make you feel at ease so that you can continue with the interview. Now, I go back to Henry's case. I was on the panel that interviewed Henry in 2020. So, and in that panel, we had two Mandela Washington fellows. So Henry, who came in, was like one of us, you know. So when Henry came in, yes, so it was like, I saw Henry, I looked at the other fellow, he looked at me, he said, yes, he's always applying. I said, wow. So we received him and we honestly, based on the scoring, the measures for scoring that we scored, we didn't score him as good as we would have loved because we saw that the specific measures for scoring were not met. So even at the end of that interview, I knew that Henry was not selected. I knew he had to come back. But now, one of the things that, because he's someone who is doing a lot of great work, and we sitting on the panel were witnesses to his work. So it felt like the application was not strong enough and he didn't defend the cause for what he was standing enough. And it comes back to what I always share with everybody, that the first thing is that no matter how good you are, in Chevening, know there is a strategy. Remember during my presentation, I said there are only two spaces. Like if we take Dr. Monique's case, it means that 500 applicants were probably excellent. They were good. And now there were only two spaces. So there were some measures that were used to keep reducing until they could get only 2 of them to represent Cameroon in the scholarship goals or the development priorities for Cameroon, which will always start with the 1325 vision, and for your sector. So there are some achievements. There are measures that you're rated within the four pillars. I would say the 4 pillars of Chevening evaluation: the leadership and influence, the networking that makes it that you might reach or near high. And if you're rated near high, it means that probably only 1 or 2 persons could have taken the very excellent, they could cross to the next level, because the final selection is on you. Interview is only one part that the interviewers give their opinion. And when they give their opinion, those in the UK bring their opinion together with other measures they are using, and they do the final selection. So I think that is it. And there's something that Dr. Monique said. Past Chevening supervisor who is British and who, when I was going in for Chevening, he said this scholarship has now been open to people who are not working in public service, because previously it was only for public servants. So when you're not in the public service, it is true that your profile needs to be strong enough for you to be offered the scholarship. And if in terms of being nervous, Mildred, for my case, I applied for Chevening twice. In the first, and I applied for Chevening with the same essays in the 2 years. There was one thing that added in, 2 things that changed in my essay. The first was that I had an additional task on publication, maybe for networking. The second was that I changed my school options. I went for my interview selecting a wrong course because I came in wondering whether I should proceed with Chevening or not. And I didn't respond to the questions when I was even out of the UK. I just say one panelist said, you live in Antigonish, colder than even any place in the UK. So how come you cannot even talk about your adaptation to the environment in other countries and how you bring it to the UK? I didn't say anything. I was kind of nervous, and I was also facing a personal dilemma. Yeah, I might not be able to go to the UK. Another thing that was established in my interview was the fact that I took a course that was different, and I did not justify why I was changing, or my orientation. So that passed for my case. But the next year, I adjusted the courses and it went through.